The world didn't end in 2012, but for the Maya, the apocalypse wasn't a one-time event. It was a cycle, heartbeat of the universe, a cosmic inhale and an inevitable exhale, long before the internet turned their calendar into a meme. The Maya believed the world had already ended multiple times, drowned, burned, shattered, and reborn in cosmic fire and divine blood. They didn't fear 2012, they feared something much older, something that had already happened, something that would happen again. Because to the Maya, time wasn't a line, it wasn't even a circle. Time was alive, a god with moods, rhythms, and punishments. And when that god grew tired, civilizations collapsed. Today, we're not telling the story of 2012. We're telling the story of the real Mayan apocalypses. The ones that reshaped cities, destroyed kingdoms, and left behind ruins swallowed by jungles, all foretold in their stone carvings and sacred books. Before you can understand Mayan predictions, you must understand their fear. It's not fear of demons or armies or even death, but the fear of cosmic imbalance. The Maya believed the universe was carefully held together by cycles: the cycle of stars, the cycle of kings, the cycle of rain, the cycle of destruction and renewal. When one cycle broke, everything fell: empires, forests, even the sky. The Maya never predicted one great apocalypse, they predicted many. Their world had already seen cities of millions suddenly abandoned, volcanoes turning the sky black, droughts so long they erased entire dynasties, cosmic signs that terrified kings into bloodletting rituals, and all of these were recorded in their astronomy, in their myths. And in the mysterious long count calendar that modern people claimed ended in 2012, but actually began a new age. The Maya feared the past, not the future. They feared the catastrophic cycles that had already reshaped the world. This is the truth behind the Mayan apocalypse. Not Hollywood destruction, not meteor showers, not aliens, but the real story of a people who believe civilization survives only by understanding the heartbeat of time itself. And to uncover that truth, we begin where the Maya began. The Maya worldview. Time as a living being. The Maya were not obsessed with the end of the world. They were obsessed with the structure of time itself. Unlike Western cultures, which treat time as a straight line from birth to death, the Maya believed time was alive. It breathed, aged, weakened, and eventually collapsed. Each day was governed by a spiritual force, each year by divine energies, and each era by cosmic powers that shaped the fate of humanity. Time was not separate from humans. It controlled humans, judged them, and if necessary, destroyed them. To the Maya, every moment carried weight. They believed the universe was built on delicate balance, like a spinning top, held between gods who could drop it at any second. Their priests studied time not for philosophy, but for survival. They recorded eclipses, tracked the motion of Venus with astonishing accuracy, and carved prophecies into stone because they believed the collapse of time itself would bring drought, famine, or even the end of their age. What made the Maya unique wasn't just their obsession with time. It was their belief that history repeats through cosmic cycles, not human actions. If a king fell, it wasn't because he failed politically, it was because a cycle demanded it. If a city starved, the gods weren't angry. The era itself was decaying. This worldview shaped every war, every ritual, and every prophecy they ever made. The Maya didn't ask, "When will the end come?" They asked, "Which cycle are we in? How close is its collapse?" In their cosmology, time was not friend or enemy, it was a force of nature like fire or lightning. And if you didn't respect it, it would burn you. The long count, the calendar that measured the universe. The long count calendar wasn't a calendar, it was a cosmic engine. While the modern world divides time into simple days and months, the Maya built a system that could track millions of years backward and forward. It wasn't for farming, it wasn't for birthday celebrations. It was for understanding the rise and fall of worlds. The long count measures enormous cycles called baktuns, each lasting 394 years. 13 baktuns made an era around 5,125 years, and the Maya believed that the end of these eras brought great transformation, not destruction necessarily, but reset, a clearing of the cosmic slate, a reboot of creation. When the 13th baktun ended in 2012, modern people panicked. But the Maya didn't carve the end, they carved the beginning of the next. What's astonishing is how the long count aligns with real catastrophic events. Massive droughts, recorded near baktun transitions, civilization collapses, mapped 2 major calendar resets, even volcanic activity seemed to spike near cycle boundaries. The long count wasn't superstition. It was a cosmic clock tuned to natural disasters. The Maya didn't fear 2012 because, to them, the world doesn't end with noise. It ends with rhythm. With the steady turning of cosmic gears. With time doing what time always does: collapse, reset, and begin again. To the Maya, the long count wasn't predicting destruction. It was predicting change, catons, baktuns, and cosmic cycles. To understand how the Maya saw the apocalypse, you must understand how they saw time itself as a system of gears. Nested cycles within cycles, each influencing the fate of the world. The smallest of these divine gears was the Catan, a 20-year period the Maya believed carried a distinct personality. Some catons brought abundance, others brought war, famine, or chaos. The Maya recorded these through centuries, carving into stone which catons had ended with bloodshed and which ended with flourishing. To them, history didn't just happen, it repeated because the caton demanded it. Above the caton stood the baktun, a far greater cycle of 144,000 days, roughly 394 years. These baktuns structured not only the rise and fall of cities, but entire eras of civilization. Maya priests kept enormous records comparing one baktun to another, noticing patterns: the collapse of dynasties, the drying of rivers, the abandonment of great temple complexes. When the Maya spoke of world ages, it wasn't metaphor. They believed each baktun carried cosmic weight, a predisposition written into time itself. But the true brilliance of the Maya system is how these cycles interlocked. A catan could carry one fate, a baktun could amplify it. And when multiple cycles aligned, the Maya believed catastrophic transformation became inevitable. Their priests were less astronomers and more cosmic historians, looking backward to understand the future. When they predicted disasters, they weren't predicting single moments. They were predicting rhythms, because destruction was simply the universe exhaling after too long a breath. The Maya didn't fear these cycles, they revered them. To disrespect the timing of the cosmos was to invite imbalance. An imbalance in their worldview was the root of apocalypse. Rituals, offerings, sacrifices, all were attempts to keep these cycles aligned, to convince the universe to delay its collapse just a little longer. But cycles turn whether humans listen or not. The catons and baktuns were not clocks. They were warnings. And soon, the Maya realized that entire worlds could perish when these cosmic wheels synchronized in destructive harmony. The true meaning of world ages: the Maya believed that our world, the one we inhabit right now, was not the first, nor would it be the last. They spoke of world ages, grand eras created and destroyed by gods who were themselves struggling to perfect humanity. These ages weren't symbolic. They were literal periods of cosmic history, each ending with catastrophic failure. The Maya didn't see humanity as stable or permanent. We are an experiment, a fragile attempt at balancing existence. In their sacred book, the Popol, the gods admit they tried many times to create beings who could honor them properly. Their first attempts were flawed, weak, or dangerously ungrateful. To the Maya, this wasn't mythology. It was a historical record, carved into the spiritual architecture of reality. Each world age was a lesson. Each destruction was purification, not punishment. What is striking is how these world ages align with real events: migrations, collapses, volcanic eruptions, and climate shifts. It's as if the Maya were observing deep time, weaving natural catastrophes into their theology. They believed that when humanity drifted too far from balance, too proud, too violent, too ignorant, the gods allowed the age to end so a new one could begin. To them, an apocalypse wasn't a final destruction. It was a reset, a recalibration of the universe. Just as farmers burn old fields for new harvests, the gods burned worlds to grow better ones. This worldview made the Maya unafraid of endings. What terrified them was disorder, the creeping realization that an age was breaking down. When they saw famine, civil war, abandoned cities, or strange celestial events, they whispered, "The age is weakening." And as we continue through their mythos, we see just how many ages the gods shattered before creating the world we know. Why the Maya believed worlds die and begin again. Why did the Maya believe worlds had to die? Because they saw collapse everywhere, in nature, in history, in the stars. The jungle consumed cities, rivers dried and returned. Empires rose with divine energy and crumbled into dust within generations. To the Maya, this wasn't coincidence. This was the will of time. Time demanded endings so that beginnings could have meaning. Maya kings conducted rituals to hold the world together, but even they admitted their power was borrowed. When droughts came and crops failed, they didn't blame their kings, they blamed the age. They believed that when an age grew old, the cosmic fabric frayed, letting chaos seep in. Strange eclipses, storms, disease, these weren't random events. They were the symptoms of a dying world. And so, they encoded these endings into their myths. Each age had its flaw. One age lacked intelligence, one lacked devotion, one became violent, one forgot the gods. The gods weren't vengeful. They were frustrated creators, trying again and again to make a humanity worthy of existence. What makes the Maya unique is that they didn't see destruction as tragic. They saw it as necessary. To fear apocalypse was like fearing winter, foolish, because the cycle always returns to spring. They believed destruction was not the death of life, but the soil from which new life grows. This is why 2012 was never the end of the world. It was simply the end of a baktun, a breath of the universe, the same breath that had ended ages before. And now, we enter the first of those ages. The first age, the failed creation of mud people. In the beginning, the gods shaped humans from the earth itself. They scooped soft mud from the river banks and molded it into bodies that walked, spoke, and breathed. But these beings were fragile. When they tried to stand, they crumbled. When they tried to speak, their words dissolved. The rain melted them. The sun cracked them. They were alive, but barely. They were mistakes. The gods looked down in disappointment. These mud people could not worship, could not farm, could not praise their creators. They were shadows, not souls. Their weakness was not moral, it was structural. Creation had failed at the most basic level, and so the gods allowed the world to dissolve. The mud people returned to the rivers, the forests, the dust. The first age ended not with fire or flood, but with quiet collapse. But the lesson was clear. A world cannot stand without form. Creation cannot survive without strength. To the Maya, this first apocalypse wasn't frightening, it was humbling. It reminded them that existence itself is fragile, held together by cosmic craftsmanship. If the gods could fail at creation, humanity could fail at living. This first destruction set the tone for all future ages. Every apocalypse would be different, some violent, some tragic, some even heroic, but each would come when the gods decided the world had drifted too far from balance. The next age would be far more catastrophic. The second age, the wooden people and the flood. After the failure of the mud people, the gods gathered again. This time, they chose a stronger substance, wood. Trees were firm, resilient, and abundant. Surely, they thought, beings made from wood would stand tall, endure, and praise their creators properly. And for a time, the wooden people succeeded. They walked, spoke, reproduced, and spread across the land. But their flaw was deeper than structure. It was spiritual emptiness. They had no soul, no heart, no gratitude. The wooden people did not honor the gods, did not remember their creators. It lived without rituals, without offerings, without reverence. Their laughter was dry, their words hollow. It became so numerous and so indifferent that they filled the world with noise but no meaning. And the gods, watching from the sky, felt anger rise within them, not because humans were flawed, but because these beings had forgotten the sacred order of the universe. So the gods sent destruction not from the heavens first, but from the living earth. The wooden people's own creations, their tools, their pots, their grinding stones, came alive and turned against them. Animals, once companions, tore at them. Trees, their own kin, fell upon them. And then came the final cleansing, a great flood that swept the wooden people from the world. Their screams were carried away in rushing waters, leaving behind silence. But the Maya did not see this flood as punishment. They saw it as a cosmic reset, a necessary act to sweep away a creation that had forgotten humility. The wooden people were not destroyed because they were evil. They were destroyed because they were empty. A world cannot survive if its people forget why they exist. And the flood marked the end of the Second Age, a reminder that strength without spirit is as doomed as weakness without substance. The Third Age, the dawn of the hero twins. After the flood, the gods realized they needed something more. Not just beings who could stand or speak, but beings who could connect. And so began the Third Age, the age of struggle and heroism. An age shaped not by flawed creations, but by two legendary figures, the hero twins, Hanap and Zabalank. Their story begins before their birth, when their father and uncle were summoned to Xibalba, the Maya underworld, to play a sacred ball game against the Lords of Death. The game was a cosmic ritual, and losing meant execution. The brothers were defeated, killed, and buried, but the gods were not finished. From the severed head of the father, life sparked again. His skull spat into the hand of a maiden, impregnating her with the twins, who would one day challenge the powers of darkness. The hero twins grew up mischievous, brilliant, and destined. They hunted, they played, they tested the world's boundaries. But when they discovered the truth of their father's death, they vowed to descend into Xibalba, to confront the Lords of Death themselves. What followed was not a battle of weapons, but a battle of wit, magic, and endurance. They endured trials of darkness, blades, monsters, and illusions. They outplayed the underworld at its own game, tricking the lords one by one. In the end, the twins allowed themselves to be sacrificed only to resurrect, proving they had mastered both life and death. Their victory shattered the power of Xibalba, reshaping the cosmos and restoring balance. This myth, central to Maya cosmology, is not simply a story. It is the blueprint for the Third Age, an age where humanity learned courage, intelligence, spirituality, and the possibility of rebirth. But humanity had not yet been created again. The twins were not humans, they were precursors. Their triumph prepared the cosmic stage, teaching the gods what qualities the next world must possess. And so the Third Age ended not with destruction, but with revelation. The Fourth Age, our current world of corn. This is the age we live in, the Fourth Age, a world created not from mud, not from wood, but from corn, the sacred substance of the Maya. In their worldview, corn wasn't just food. It was life itself. It connected the people to the earth, the gods, the sky, and the cycles of time. When the gods shaped this new humanity, they ground white and yellow corn into dough, forming bodies that were strong, flexible, intelligent, and most importantly, grateful. The people of corn could think, they could worship, they could speak the names of the gods with clear voices. They performed rituals, built temples, and understood the patterns of time. These beings finally had heart, something neither mud nor wood could hold. The Maya believed these first true humans were radiant, too radiant, in fact. Their vision was so sharp that they could see the gods themselves, and the gods, concerned for cosmic order, breathed a mist over their eyes so humans would see only the world meant for them. In this age, humanity flourished. Agriculture grew. Cities rose. Kings communed with the divine. The Maya tracked the stars, predicted eclipses, and built civilizations so advanced that even modern science still struggles to understand their mathematics. And yet, even this world, the best attempt so far, was not perfect. Humans grew ambitious. They fought wars. They neglected the rituals. They deforested sacred lands. They tested the gods' patience. The Maya believed we live in a balanced but fragile world, a world that could collapse if humans forget humility, gratitude, or harmony. The Fourth Age is stable, but not eternal. It is the longest age, but not unbreakable. Then the Maya did foresee a Fifth Age, an age that will end not because humans are too weak, but because humans may grow too strong. The Fifth Age, the predicted age of cataclysm. The Fifth Age is not yet here, but the Maya foresaw its coming with uneasy clarity. They believe that after the Fourth Age runs its course, another cosmic cycle will begin, one marked by profound upheaval. Not a single event, but a chain reaction triggered by imbalance between the heavens, the earth, and humanity. They predicted an age defined by fire, darkness, and transformation. But unlike the flood that destroyed the wooden people, the Maya did not describe this coming catastrophe in simple terms. They left symbols, glyphs, riddles. Some inscriptions speak of the sky descending, interpreted by scholars as meteors, solar storms, or celestial disruptions. Others describe the gods returning hungry, perhaps a metaphor for famine, resource collapse, or societal breakdown. The most chilling prophecy warns, when men forget they are made of corn, the age will crack. To the Maya, forgetting one's origin, forgetting humility, nature, community, was the ultimate sin. The fifth age would not end because the gods were vengeful, but because humans would sever themselves from the cosmic balance that sustains them. They foresaw overpopulation, environmental destruction, extreme drought, and social unrest, eerily mirroring real modern crises. But the fifth age was not all doom. Prophecies also speak of rebirth, a new dawn after destruction. They believed chaos was the crucible in which new worlds form, that suffering is not the conclusion but the initiation of transformation. The Maya never predicted a permanent end, only a reset. The fifth age is the prophecy of a world that must die, so a better world can emerge, not because the gods demand it, but because cycles demand motion. The darkness in the sky, solar eclipses, and cosmic fear. For the ancient Maya, few events were more terrifying than a sudden darkness swallowing the sun. They believed time wasn't just a measurement, it was a living spirit. And when the sun vanished, even briefly, it was as if the heart of the world skipped a beat. Solar eclipses weren't random. They were omens, messages from powerful cosmic beings who governed the cycles of creation and destruction. The Maya recorded eclipses on stelae, in codices, and on temple walls, treating each as a moment when the universe revealed its vulnerabilities. An eclipse could mean many things depending on its timing within the Tiso-can, or its alignment with Venus cycles. Some inscriptions interpret eclipses as periods when the gods were testing humanity. Others depict them as signs of dissatisfaction, warnings of drought, famine, or war. The Maya knew how to predict eclipses with astonishing accuracy, yet their emotional significance never faded. Even with this knowledge, the event itself remained terrifying. The sky dimming, the birds falling silent, the air cooling, and the sacred sun, the giver of time, devoured by darkness. The Maya believed an eclipse was not an astronomical event, but an act of cosmic warfare. The sun was under attack by star demons or the great celestial serpent. That is why the Maya performed urgent rituals during eclipses. Priests lit incense, drums thundered across temple plazas, and communities gathered beneath towering pyramids to plead for the sun's survival. It wasn't superstition, it was responsibility. Humans had to participate in the cosmic struggle to maintain order in the heavens. The psychological effect of these events cannot be overstated. Even for a civilization of astronomers, the sudden transformation of day into night evoked awe and fear. To them, eclipses were warnings of cracks forming in the cosmic cycle, temporary windows showing how easily the world could slip into destruction. And in the Maya worldview, this darkness was an echo of past apocalypses, and a whisper of the one yet to come, the falling serpent, comets, and meteors. If eclipses were terrifying interruptions of time, comets and meteors were tears in the sky, blazing streaks of celestial fire that the Maya interpreted as serpents, gods, or omens of violent change. In Maya cosmology, the serpent was a force of transformation, sometimes a messenger, sometimes a destroyer. When a comet appeared, the Maya believed the sky was releasing a divine creature onto the world, an entity whose arrival often heralded war, famine, or the death of a king. The Popol VA describes serpents that fall from the heavens during times of imbalance. Archaeological evidence shows glyphs specifically representing star snakes, symbols used across Mesoamerica to depict meteors and comet trails. These appearances were rare enough to be shocking, bright enough to be unforgettable, and unpredictable enough to unsettle even the most experienced stargazers. A comet could streak across the night sky for nights on end, glowing with supernatural brilliance, leaving the Maya to wonder what cosmic force had been unleashed. Some inscriptions refer to comets as weapons of gods, blazing spears thrown across the sky during divine conflict. Others describe them as signs of endings, the fall of kingdoms, the rise of invaders, the death of dynasties. When Halley's comet passed over Mesoamerica in 760 AD, Maya scribes recorded it as a dangerous omen shortly afterward. Several major city-states experienced political upheaval, war, and famine. To the Maya, meteors weren't just stones burning through the atmosphere. They were messages. They were warnings. They were cosmic punctuation marks, signaling that humanity's actions or inactions had consequences. When a fiery serpent tore through the heavens, it wasn't just a spectacle. It was a reminder that the universe was alive, watching, judging, and capable of sending destruction at any moment. Megadroughts, the sky gods turned away. Among all the catastrophes that shaped Maya history, none left a deeper scar than drought. Water wasn't merely a resource, it was the blood of the gods, the essence of life. The Maya depended on seasonal rains governed by Chak, the rain deity, and believed each rainfall was a gift earned through reverence. When the rains stopped, it wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a cosmic abandonment. During the 9th century, evidence shows that rainfall declined dramatically across the Maya heartland. Lakes dried. Reservoirs cracked. Forests withered. Crops failed. Cities built on limestone plateaus far from rivers were especially vulnerable. Archaeologists have found ceremonial altars piled with offerings from this period: jade, incense, obsidian, even human sacrifices, desperate pleas for rain, desperate attempts to rekindle a bond with gods who seem to have turned their backs. Entire kingdoms struggled to survive. Warfare increased as city-states fought over dwindling water supplies. Political legitimacy collapsed when kings believed to be earthly intermediaries with the gods failed to bring the rains. To the Maya, drought was not just environmental. It was a sign that cosmic order was unraveling, that humanity had strayed from balance, that an age was ending. Some inscriptions describe droughts lasting decades, even generations. When reservoirs ran dry, cities that had flourished for centuries were abandoned almost overnight. Tikal, Kopan, Kalakmel, empires fell, not through war alone, but through thirst. For the Maya, these megadroughts were apocalyptic events, proof that the gods could withdraw their favor and plunge the world toward collapse. And so, drought became one of the most feared omens in Maya cosmology, a slow, suffocating apocalypse that suffocated kingdoms long before conquerors ever arrived. Volcanic nightmares, ash, fire, and abandoned cities. Though not always discussed in mainstream history, the Maya world was shaped by volcanic fury. From Guatemala's volcanic highlands to Mexico's explosive peaks, eruptions transformed landscapes and lives. When the Maya witnessed volcanic eruptions, ash clouds turning day into darkness, rivers of molten rock devouring forests, lightning crackling through black skies, they saw not nature, but the gods, unleashing their rage. Ashfall could bury entire cities in a matter of hours. Crops were ruined, water sources poisoned, as panicked citizens fled or died in toxic air. The eruption of Ilopango around 535 AD was one of the largest in human history, and the Maya recorded the event as a cosmic catastrophe. Ash covered hundreds of miles, plunging the world into cold, killing forests, and causing famine. In Maya mythology, these events were seen as battles between gods, punishments for disobedience, or signs of an age nearing its end. Volcanoes were portals, openings where the underworld touched the surface of the earth. When an eruption occurred, it meant the barrier between worlds had momentarily broken. The Maya sometimes built shrines near volcanic peaks, believing offerings could appease the spirits within. Yet no amount of ritual could prevent the devastation that followed a major eruption. Cities near volcanic zones show layers of abandoned houses, charred earth, and sudden cultural shifts. One of the most haunting details, children's footprints preserved in volcanic ash, found fleeing from eruptions, frozen moments of terror, preserved for more than a millennium. To the Maya, these disasters were reminders that fire was both sacred and deadly, that creation and destruction were bound together, that the gods who gave life could take it away with terrifying speed. Volcanoes were the breath of the underworld, and when they roared, the Maya believed the world itself was screaming. Plague, collapse, and sudden abandonment. While drought and warfare weakened Maya cities, another invisible killer struck from the shadows: plague. The Maya did not have a single word for disease as we understand it today. They saw illness as spiritual imbalance, a failure of harmony, or the intrusion of malevolent forces. Epidemics swept through settlements suddenly and without mercy, killing nobles and farmers alike. When entire lineages of kings died within years of each other, scribes wrote of dark winds and death spirits moving through the land. Archaeology reveals mass graves, rushed burials, and abandoned homes filled with pottery and belongings. As though families fled in terror or were struck down too quickly to collect their possessions, these moments of sudden collapse created ghost cities, places where life stopped in an instant. The Maya understood these catastrophes as a sign that the gods had withdrawn protection. Illness wasn't random, it was cosmic disapproval. As sickness weakened populations, city-states became vulnerable to invasion, civil war, and famine. Trade routes broke apart, temples went unmaintained, dynasties crumbled. Large cities like Palenque, once thriving centers of art and astronomy, fell quiet. The collapse was not a single event. It was a fracturing of the world, a slow-motion apocalypse spanning generations. And yet, the Maya did not interpret this collapse as pure doom. To them, destruction was part of cosmic rhythm. The end of a city, a dynasty, or a kingdom was not the end of the world. It was the end of a cycle, a turning of the cosmic wheel. Their resilience showed through. Survivors migrated, rebuilt, and adapted. But the memory of sudden abandonment remained etched into their myths, becoming another layer of prophecy that warned future generations. Every world falls. The question is how we rise afterward. The Maya as master astronomers, long before telescopes, satellites, or modern astronomical charts. The Maya stood beneath clear tropical skies and mapped the heavens with a precision that still astonishes scientists today. To them, astronomy wasn't just a science, it was a way of reading the mind of the universe. Every star had personality, every planet carried intention, and every movement in the heavens was a message. Maya astronomers were priests, mathematicians, philosophers, and prophets all in one, capable of calculating the motions of worlds across thousands of years using only observation and mathematics. The Maya aligned their temples with celestial events so perfectly that modern archaeologists rely on the architecture to confirm ancient astronomical dates. At Chichen Itza, the serpent shadow on El Castillo emerges precisely during the equinox. At Uaxacton, stone observatories line up with solstices and lunar cycles. Their sky charts, carved into stone and painted in codices, reveal centuries of eclipse predictions, Venus cycles, lunar tables, and star calendars. They tracked celestial rhythms not for curiosity, but to decode cosmic intention. To the Maya, knowing when the sun would rise or when Venus would return wasn't enough. They sought to understand why. Their astronomy explained politics, warfare, agriculture, drought, fertility, and even the fate of kings. Rulers planned battles based on planetary alignments. Farmers planted crops according to sacred sky cycles. Priests monitored celestial changes as warnings of imbalance, signals that the world's cosmic heartbeat was shifting toward renewal or destruction. What makes the Maya unique is not just their observational accuracy, but their belief that humanity and the cosmos were interwoven. Stars weren't distant objects, they were time spirits weaving destiny. And the Maya believed their duty, their sacred responsibility, was to keep track of these cosmic rhythms, so they could interpret the great cycles of creation and apocalypse that shaped all existence. Venus, the bringer of war and death, among all celestial bodies. None held more power in the Maya imagination than Venus. They called it the Great Star, and they feared and revered it in equal measure. Venus's regular yet dramatic cycle, disappearing, reappearing, shining as morning star and evening star, made it a symbol of death and rebirth. But more importantly, Venus was a harbinger of war. When it emerged as the morning star, many Maya believed it brought chaos, conflict, and bloodshed. Kings consulted Venus tables before launching invasions. Entire wars were synchronized to its appearance on the horizon. Maya inscriptions report that when Venus rose after a long absence, it wasn't just a celestial event. It was a declaration, a divine green light for conquest. Priests tracked these cycles for centuries, refining predictions until they could forecast Venus's exact movements with astonishing precision. The Dresden Codex still contains pages devoted exclusively to its path, warnings, and divine influence. Venus wasn't just a planet, it was a god, a warrior deity armed with cosmic fire. When it flared brightly or behaved unexpectedly, the Maya believed it signaled imbalances between worlds. Some texts describe Venus destroying crops, bringing famine, or unleashing spiritual corruption. Others claim it punished kings who had broken sacred oaths or failed in rituals. In this worldview, every flash of Venus across the pre-dawn sky was a reminder that divine forces were watching humanity and testing it. Modern astronomy confirms Venus's brightness can shift dramatically due to atmospheric changes. To the Maya, these fluctuations were not random. They were omens, messages, evidence that the universe was alive and communicating. And so Venus became an anchor of prophecy, a burning signpost in the sky, guiding kings, armies, and entire civilizations toward fate, victory, or annihilation. The Tisocan, a sacred calendar of divine signs. The Tisocan was more than a calendar. It was a cosmic frequency, a spiritual code of the universe. Consisting of 260 days, it didn't measure seasons, lunar cycles, or agricultural needs. Instead, it mapped energies, the sacred interplay of gods, forces, symbols, and day spirits. Every one of its days carried a personality, a destiny, and a cosmic vibration. To the Maya, being born on a specific Tizocan, day shaped your strengths, struggles, talents, and calling in life. Priests used the Tizocan to perform divination, choosing ideal dates for ceremonies, marriages, coronations, and battles. Farmers consulted it for planting rituals. Kings aligned major decisions with high-energy days. This calendar connected people not to the physical world, but to the spiritual architecture behind it, the machinery of time. Each day's meaning was a combination of its number 1 through 13 and its glyph, one of 20 denoms, creating 260 possible cosmic identities. The Tisocan also played a central role in understanding prophecy. By interpreting repeating combinations, priests identified moments of heightened danger or opportunity. Some days were infamous for being dark days, associated with destruction, misfortune, or imbalance. Others were creation days, aligned with renewal and rebirth. Everything was cyclical. Nothing was random. What makes the Tisocan so powerful is that it wasn't tied to any single astronomical event. It represented a deeper truth, the rhythms of existence beyond human perception. It was the pulse of the universe, the heartbeat of the gods. And through it, the Maya believed they could read the signs of approaching cataclysms. Long before they arrived, the galactic alignment. What the Maya actually tracked. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Maya prophecy is the concept of galactic alignment, popularized in 2012 theories as a once in 26,000-year event that would either save or destroy the world. But the Maya themselves never predicted a cosmic explosion or black hole apocalypse. What they did track obsessively was the movement of the sun against the backdrop of the Milky Way. Particularly the region known as the Dark Rift, a thick band of interstellar dust revered as the womb of creation. To the Maya, the Milky Way was not a distant galaxy. It was the world tree, the celestial serpent, the pathway of souls. The Dark Rift was its cosmic heart, its underworld gate. When the sun aligned with this region during solstice, it represented a symbolic passage, a moment when the sun re-entered the primordial womb, a metaphorical renewal of cosmic order. These alignments were spiritual events, not astronomical catastrophes. The Maya tracked this cycle across centuries, marking key transitions when the sun crossed certain celestial thresholds. These alignments signified the turning of ages, not their destruction. And because time itself was viewed as cyclical, the alignment symbolized the completion of a long cosmic breath, the exhale of one era, the inhale of another. For the Maya, this was profound, meaningful, but not necessarily dangerous. The modern world imagined explosions, gravitational chaos, or doomsday scenarios. The Maya envisioned something quieter, more symbolic, a reset, a change in collective consciousness, a shift of ages. Galactic alignment wasn't about the end of the world. It was about the world remembering itself, remembering its cycles, its patterns, and its place in the vast cosmic dance. Did the Maya predict solar maximum cycles? Solar activity, the rise and fall of sunspot cycles every 11 years, is a modern scientific discovery. And yet, some Maya inscriptions appear to track cyclical patterns in solar behavior. The sun was central to Maya cosmology, not only spiritually, but physically. They monitored solar intensity, changes in the atmosphere, and fluctuations in brightness. Some scholars believe the Maya could detect shifts associated with heightened solar activity, something that aligns eerily with their prophecies of skyfire and burning wind. Though there is no definitive proof that the Maya knew about solar maximums as we understand them today. Their records strongly suggest they recognized long-term patterns in the sun's behavior. The Dresden Codex includes warnings of droughts, increased temperatures, and celestial disorder tied to solar deities. The Codex even depicts solar gods wielding torches, pouring destructive fire onto the Earth during certain cycles. Solar storms, when intense, can disrupt weather, cause droughts, and create auroras visible even in lower latitudes. To the Maya, these rare sky phenomena would have appeared supernatural, shimmering lights, sudden atmospheric shifts, or unusual solar spots visible during partial eclipses. These were not coincidences. They were seen as signs that the sun was entering a hot cycle, a period of imbalance. Whether or not the Maya consciously calculated solar maximum cycles, they absolutely believed that the sun's moods directly influenced human fate. A peaceful sun meant balance. A restless sun meant the approach of droughts, plagues, or even civilizational collapse. In this sense, their interpretations align uncannily with modern climate science, suggesting that ancient prophecy was often rooted in real, observable cosmic rhythms. The collapse of the classic Maya, a real apocalypse. For centuries, Maya cities dominated the jungles with towering pyramids, astronomical observatories, and bustling marketplaces. But around the 9th century CE, one of the greatest mysteries in world history unfolded. The classic Maya civilization collapsed. Not in a single moment, not through a single catastrophe, but through a slow, agonizing unraveling, a real apocalypse experienced by millions. The Maya didn't vanish overnight. Their world unraveled over generations as cities emptied. Dynasties fell silent, and the jungle reclaimed temples once filled with royal power. Archaeologists describe the collapse as a death by 1,000 cuts. Trade routes crumbled, crop yields failed, and drought after drought scorched the land. Rulers demanded more labor, more tribute, more ritual blood. The gods must be appeased, they believed, because something cosmic had shifted. For the Maya, this wasn't just political turmoil. It was proof that the cycle of the Fourth Age was breaking down, that cosmic harmony was slipping away. Their reality reflected the very myths they had passed down for centuries. As cities like Tikal, Calakmul, and Copan fell silent, ordinary people faced starvation, disease, and a loss of cosmic identity. Temples once crowned with rulers were abandoned mid-construction, as if the people simply walked away. Some inscriptions even show kings pleading with gods who no longer answered. The Maya believed the universe operated in cycles, and they feared they were nearing the end of one. To modern observers, this collapse looks like history. To the Maya, it was apocalypse. It was the breaking of the world, the unraveling of cosmic order, and a devastating reminder that time, like life, must die before it can be reborn. The abandoned megacities, Tikal Palenque, Copan. If you walk through Tikal at dawn today, the jungle is the only thing that breathes. Howler monkeys roar where kings once gave orders. Roots crack the temples where scribes chronicled history. The silence is overwhelming because these were not small settlements. Tikal, Palenque, and Copan were megacities, each home to tens of thousands. Each with palaces, pyramids, and sprawling suburbs. Their sudden abandonment is one of the most haunting images in ancient history. Tikal, once the superpower of the Maya world, fell into chaos as its reservoirs dried and its farmland turned to dust. The people, unable to support the city's immense population, left their stone metropolis behind. Palenque, with its breathtaking architecture and refined artistry, saw its royal lineage collapse. Inscriptions end abruptly, as if the scribes themselves had no more hope. Copan, the Athens of the Maya world. deteriorated so severely that its people smashed sacred monuments, a sign of desperation rarely seen in ancient civilizations. Many of these cities were abandoned so quickly that archaeologists have found half-finished sculptures, unfinished temples, and royal tombs left untouched. This wasn't a slow decline, it was an evacuation. And the Maya recorded why: drought, famine, failed crops, and a sense that the gods had withdrawn their favor. To the inhabitants, leaving their cities wasn't just migration, it was fleeing the epicenter of cosmic imbalance. These megacities were built with astronomical precision, their very layout tied to cycles of time. When the cycles failed, the cities had to be left behind. The death of kings and the end of dynasties. The Maya world rested on the shoulders of divine kings, rulers believed to be intermediaries between humanity and the gods. Their blood-fueled rituals, their visions guided society, and their lineage was considered sacred. But during the collapse, something unthinkable happened. The kings lost their power. Then a few generations, entire dynasties that had ruled for centuries vanished. Royal tombs were never finished. Thrones stood empty. Political order disintegrated. Inscriptions from the last years of the classic period show a pattern. Fewer monuments, fewer celebrations, fewer wars. The kings weren't just losing battles, they were losing cosmic legitimacy. Their rituals failed to bring rain. Their prayers didn't end famine. Their blood, once seen as divine nectar, no longer satisfied the gods. For a culture built on cosmic responsibility, this was devastating. As kings fell, chaos spread. Rival city-states turned on each other, desperate to seize resources. Common people lost faith in royal authority and began abandoning centers of power. Some inscriptions show kings being captured, sacrificed, or replaced by lesser nobles. The heart of the Maya world, divine kingship, cracked apart. To the Maya, this was more than political collapse. It was the cosmic system tearing itself apart. If the kings could no longer connect the heavens and the earth, then the world itself was breaking. This was the apocalypse made real. The collapse of authority, the silence of the heavens, and the end of a world age. Climate catastrophe, the 100-year drought. Modern climate research has revealed a shocking truth beneath the Maya collapse. The region endured a century-long drought, one of the most severe in thousands of years. Lake sediments showed drastic drops in rainfall. Pollen records reveal farmland drying into barren scrub. Rivers shrank, reservoirs turned to mud, and the once reliable rainy season failed again and again. For a society dependent on rain-fed agriculture, this was catastrophic beyond imagination. The Maya believed rain was the lifeblood of the cosmos. Their rain god, Chak, was one of the most important in their pantheon. When rains failed, the people performed elaborate rituals, dances, sacrifices, anything to restore balance. But year after year, the skies stayed dry. Crops withered, food shortages intensified, and famine spread across regions. People watched the heavens and saw something terrifying: cosmic silence. In some cities, the drought was so severe that people abandoned entire regions, searching desperately for water. Warfare increased as city-states fought over shrinking resources. The drought didn't just affect crops, it destroyed faith. Priests, kings, and astronomers couldn't stop the disaster. And when the sacred calendar cycles no longer aligned with reality, many believed the world age itself was ending. To the Maya, drought wasn't weather, it was cosmic judgment, a sign that the cycle of time was dissolving, that the world was dying. And so the drought became the centerpiece of the collapse, the final blow that shattered one of the greatest civilizations on Earth. Why the Maya thought the gods left? Imagine living in a world where every cycle, every ritual, every ceremony has worked for 1,000 years, and suddenly nothing works anymore. The rains stop, the crops die, the kings fail, the wars grow endless. The heavens show no signs. For the Maya, this wasn't just misfortune, it was abandonment. Many inscriptions from the late classic period reflect a haunting belief: the gods had turned their faces away. Temples that were once centers of vibrant ritual became empty. Offerings increased in desperation, more incense, more blood, more ceremonies, but the world did not heal. Some cities intensified human sacrifices, hoping to restore cosmic balance. Others destroyed idols, believing the gods had betrayed them. Archaeologists even found evidence of ritual termination ceremonies in which entire cities performed final offerings before being intentionally abandoned. In oral traditions passed down through descendants, there is a recurring theme: the gods retreated because humans stopped living in harmony. To the Maya, cosmic withdrawal wasn't random. It was the result of imbalance: too many wars, too much greed, too much demand for resources. The world had drifted out of alignment, and so the divine forces that sustained it had stepped back. This belief wasn't just mythic, it was psychological. When an entire world collapses, when everything you know falls apart, the only explanation that makes sense is a cosmic one. And so the Maya closed the chapter on their age not with a single event, but with a devastating conclusion. The gods had left, and the world they once sustained was ending. The baktun reset, not an ending, a turning. On December 21, 2012, the world held its breath. Crowds gathered at ancient Maya ruins, doomsday cults prepared their last rituals, and global news insisted the Mayan apocalypse was upon us. But the Maya themselves looked at this frenzy and quietly smiled, because the date was never meant to mark the end of the world. It was a baktun reset, a turning point in cosmic time, similar to how we mark a millennium. For the Maya, the day wasn't a tombstone. It was a rebirth. A baktun is a period of 144,000 days, roughly 394 years. 13 baktuns form a great cycle, a world age, and on that famous winter solstice, the Maya long count simply rolled from 12.19.19.17.19 to 13.0.0.0.0. This wasn't a crash, it was the cosmic odometer turning over. The transition was symbolic, the end of one vast era and the dawn of another. To the Maya, such transitions are powerful but not catastrophic. The universe breathes, cycles close, cycles reopen. The reset was meant to be a moment of reflection, a chance for humanity to align itself spiritually, ethically, cosmically. Many ancient Maya inscriptions describe baktun resets as moments when gods descend, give knowledge, or set new destinies in motion. They are thresholds, not executions. They signal opportunity, not annihilation. In Maya tradition, each new era carries the potential for renewal. The 2012 baktun reset marked a shift in consciousness, not a cosmic collapse. The true apocalypse, the true unveiling, which is what apocalypse means, was the revelation that the world doesn't end suddenly. It transforms. It's misinterpretations by the West. The Western obsession with a 2012 apocalypse didn't begin. With the Maya, it began with modern people projecting their fears onto an ancient system they barely understood. The long count calendar was discovered and deciphered by archaeologists in the 19th and 20th centuries. But little of the deeper Maya cosmology came with it. As a result, scholars, fiction writers, and sensationalists filled the gaps with doomsday fantasies. Hollywood movies portrayed meteors, tsunamis, solar flares, and cataclysmic earthquakes. New Age authors spoke of planetary alignment tearing the Earth apart. Meanwhile, not a single Maya prophecy mentions destruction on that date. But Western culture loves endings, loves dramatic finality in a way the Maya never did. The Maya saw time as cyclical. The West sees time as a straight line heading toward a final judgment. This misunderstanding grew because the Maya calendar was too sophisticated for simple explanation. When Western readers saw the number 13.0.0.0.0, they assumed 13 meant unlucky, ominous, or final. In reality, it was sacred. 13 is the number of the heavens in Maya cosmology, the number of creation, the number of fullness. The disaster fantasies said more about modern fears than about Maya prophecy. Fears of environmental collapse, social upheaval, technological dependence, and global instability. The Maya weren't wrong. The West was scared. Maya elders speak. It was never the end. As 2012 approached, something extraordinary happened. Maya elders began to speak publicly, breaking centuries of silence around their spiritual traditions. From Guatemala to Mexico to Belize, Maya priests and community leaders held gatherings, ceremonies, and press conferences to clarify what the date truly meant. Their message was simple and profound. It was never the end. It was a transition, a turning of the great wheel. They emphasized that the Maya calendar is not a countdown timer, but a living system that tracks human consciousness, planetary cycles, and cosmic energy. Elders described the baktun reset as the closing of an age dominated by materialism, conflict, and imbalance, and the potential opening of an age guided by harmony and higher awareness. Many indigenous leaders saw 2012 as a reminder for humanity to reconnect with the earth, not to fear destruction, but to fear disconnection. They warned that the real apocalypse is environmental collapse, spiritual emptiness, and forgetting our place in the cosmic order. For the Maya, 2012 wasn't a prophecy of death. It was a call to awakening, an invitation to step into a new relationship with the universe. The world wasn't ending. Humanity was being asked to evolve. The shift in consciousness theory. One of the most intriguing interpretations of the 2012 baktun reset is the shift in consciousness theory, a belief held by many Maya sages and later adopted by global spiritual movements. The idea is not that the world ends physically, but that human perception changes. Old systems dissolve, new patterns emerge. It's not a meteor strike. It's a psychological and spiritual recalibration. This theory argues that humanity is gradually shifting from fear-based thinking to awareness-based thinking, from domination to cooperation, from fragmentation to unity. The Maya described time as a spiral, always returning to similar lessons, but at a higher level of understanding. So the reset of 2012 wasn't about destruction, it was about evolution. Interestingly, major global shifts did occur around this period. The explosion of digital communication, the rise of global consciousness movements, climate awareness, political upheavals, and a re-examination of what it means to be human in the 21st century. These aren't coincidences, they're symptoms of a turning age. The Maya believed consciousness is woven into time itself, that eras shape minds, and minds shape eras. The shift doesn't happen overnight, it unfolds through generations. But 2012 marked the beginning of that ascent, a cosmic gate opening for a new cycle of understanding, the next predicted Maya cycle, and what it means for us. So when is the next great Maya cycle? According to surviving inscriptions and modern Maya priests, the next major energy shift is not in 500 years, but in the coming decades. Because we are currently in the early phase of the new baktun, a period of rebalancing. Maya prophecies say that the beginning of a baktun is chaotic, turbulent, transformative, a time when old systems collapse and new ones struggle to form. Natural disasters surge. Social structures destabilize. Climate shifts accelerate. The Maya would say, of course, this is the cleansing, this is the realignment. But after the turbulence comes a new stability, a new order. In modern terms, this could mean humanity entering a period of ecological restoration, technological harmony, and global interconnectedness, if we choose to follow the lessons of past cycles. Some Maya elders speak of a new fifth age of humanity, the age of consciousness, the age of returning to the earth, the age of remembering. They believe humanity is approaching a period where we must decide whether we continue on a destructive path or embrace the wisdom of cycles, balance, and cosmic responsibility. The next great cycle doesn't predict destruction, it predicts choice. We stand where the Maya once stood, at the edge of an age, staring into the unknown. And just like them, our apocalypse is not the end. It is the unveiling of who we really are. As we stand here at the edge of our own uncertain age, one truth echoes louder than any prophecy carved into stone. The Maya were never warning us about an ending. They were teaching us how to survive one. Their world ended not once, but many times. Civilizations rose, flourished, collapsed, and were reborn in new forms. Cities vanished beneath vines. Kingdoms turned to dust. But the people endured. The stories endured. The wisdom endured. And now, as our own world faces fires, floods, extinctions, and upheavals, we find ourselves repeating their patterns, walking their cycles, living their warnings. The Maya never asked us to fear 2012. They asked us to wake up, to recognize the signs, understand the cycles, and remember that time is not our enemy. Time is our teacher. If there is an apocalypse, it is not destruction. It is the unveiling of who we must become next. And maybe, just maybe, that is the message we were meant to hear all along. If this journey into Maya prophecy, myth, and cosmic time opened your mind, then don't let the story end here. Hit like it tells YouTube this kind of deep, long-form history deserves to be seen. Subscribe because we explore the forbidden, the forgotten, and the misunderstood every single week. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next descent into ancient civilizations and their hidden truths. And most importantly, comment below. Do you think the apocalypse already happened? Or is another one still coming? Your voice becomes part of the story. Your ideas continue the cycle. Thank you for watching. Till the next chapter. Stay curious, stay courageous, and remember, the past is never truly gone.